Well, now it's time to ask our VitaPet vet, Dr. Lauren Bleaken, about your dog or puppy after we ran a Facebook post asking you what your most pressing questions were. Welcome back, Dr. Lauren. Nice to have you in my living room.
So nice to finally be here.
And nice for you to meet Alfie.
I know, he's gorgeous.
I might throw in a few of my own questions as well
Go
today.
for it.
Let's head to Rebecca's question first of all, who has a 10-month-old puppy. Okay. She's large and is determined to escape the backyard at any opportunity she gets. She's walked every day, taken to a dog park once a week, so I don't think it's boredom. How can I train her to stay put, or will she just grow out of it? Every time I find where she escapes, I fix the hole or do something to stop her, but she finds another place just as quickly. Sounds like good old puppy behaviour.
Yes, and I think that puppies are just meant to challenge us, so don't lose faith yet. The first step is to stay determined to fix it, because I think you can. With that, I think exercise is really important. It sounds like that owner is doing everything right in terms of getting out and exercising. I do wonder if there's a boredom component for this dog potentially. With behavioural issues, there can be multiple factors, so they're a little bit trickier than just a pure medical problem, so they're a lot harder to give an exact answer on how to fix it in a one-step quick fix. But I think keeping this dog entertained in the backyard might be the critical step to fixing the problem. So I'm not sure how long this dog is out and unattended for, but a good starting point would be doing potentially short little bits in the backyard, but supervised from inside the house to keep an eye on the dog and see when this is happening and what maybe comes before it and what triggers it, and then looking at ways to introduce activities to distract this dog. So often they dig and they escape when they just want to go have a bit of fun and they're bored. So putting a ball or a tug toy or something in the backyard might be a good way to keep it entertained. You can get really creative. You can go online and Google backyard toys for dogs, and maybe seeing if with building up from short time supervised with a toy, and then as soon as they notice that behaviour starting going out and interrupting it, and then building up to bigger patches, that might be one step. If the problem persists, it might be a case where they need a little bit of behavioural help as well.
This is such great advice. I hope that helps you, Rebecca. Let's go to Susan, who's got a 2-year-old red heeler who loves her so much, but he's overprotective of only me. The kids can walk him no problems, but it's me he goes nuts to if he sees another dog. He's scared of the cat, but he was eyeballing it when the cat jumped on my lap. If anyone comes to the house, he goes nuts, but if I'm not here, he doesn't. Okay, so Susan's dog is very protective of her.
Yeah, and that's again another behavioural one. So again, these ones are a little bit trickier.
Quite specific.
Quite specific, yeah. And I'm never going to hesitate to say that seeking a behaviouralist to help you work through these things in your home environment is a really good idea, because they're going to be there and see those triggers and help you work through it. So I think that might be a really good step for her, especially when we're talking about things like aggression, where at the moment it's not sounding like it's turning towards the children or causing any harm, but there's potential for these situations to escalate. So I would definitely recommend that this person potentially get a professional in and work through it with them on a one-on-one sort of basis and get a solution that way.
Okay. Marnie says that her dog is so scared of loud noises, loud trucks, oven doors, subwoofers, etc. I have an adaptable collar for him. It seems to help a little bit, but not enough. What else can I do for my scared boy? They've just had to get through Guy Fawkes.
Yes, and it's a time of year where these things always are brought to the fore. It's a really common issue in dogs to have noise phobias. It's an anxiety-based behaviour, and they're a lot more difficult to deal with than, say, trying to train your dog to sit or stay, because you're trying to train around
the unexpected.
Yeah, unexpected, so hard to predict and recreate, but also it's not a logical response, it's an emotive fear-based response, and so those are a lot harder to deal with. And so the owner's done really well to start with an adaptable collar. Well done.
What does that do, by the way?
So that's a pheromone-based collar. It reproduces a synthetic version of a hormone that mum produces that makes pups feel calm, and so you can use it on dogs of all ages, but it just helps trigger the brain to feel calm. So it's a really great start. Yeah.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah, really good for puppies you're trying to train as well. Okay. So that's a good one. Another thing is there's products, there's coats. One brand is Thunder Coat, that are tight jackets that wrap around the chest. You just put it on like a harness, and that puts a squeezing pressure on the chest that makes them feel calm. I think the issue with this behaviour is always going to be that it comes unpredictably. So trying to to trigger the behaviour in a safe way and reward calm behaviour is an important one. So you don't want to be torturing your dog slamming doors, but we also have a habit as owners of going, oh, they're there, it's okay, and we're inadvertently rewarding that anxious behaviour.
Right.
So we want to make sure we notice when they're being calm, and we treat them and we reward them for a nice, calm, relaxed behaviour, especially if that a noise happens. And you can do small noises like a clap and treat when they don't react. And if things get really bad, it can actually become to the point where, especially around Guy Fawkes, for example, where dogs will try to escape homes, run through doors, hide under beds. If you're dealing with that level of a response to a noise phobia, you're going to need a professional and potentially some actual drugs to get in there and help pause the response and work around it. But in those lower levels, you can potentially do some training at home.
I'm going to look out for one of those adaptable collars as well. They sound great. That's good advice. Thanks, Marnie. Let's head to Christine's question next. Her Bichon licks his paws constantly.
Okay, so this time of year plays into this potentially as well. There's some dogs it's all year round. So with the space in between the toes on a dog's foot, it's quite a tight space, and it's often quite hairy in there. So it's quite a moist environment. So there's a couple things that can be at play there. One is that if it gets moist, so walking on wet grass and things, that moisture can predispose them to getting a bit of yeast growing in between the toes, and that's itchy, and then they'll lick. Sometimes it's just purely behavioural. It's comforting to lick at the foot. That makes it moist. That makes yeast grow. It can become a cycle. And then in some dogs, we find that they can have allergies to things. So for her in particular, if the dog's always licking its feet, I think having a look between the toes, seeing is it actually becoming red and inflamed and irritated in there, in which case you might need to go to a vet and get some creams or have it looked at. If it looks fine and there's no outward sign of it being affected, then potentially treating it as a behavioural expression, so maybe a comforting behaviour, so trying to redirect that, so a chew toy, you know, making a distraction when you see them doing it. Hey, no licking, okay, good boy, and a treat when they don't, that kind of thing, so that you're breaking that licking cycle and showing them that it's a positive thing to not lick, they get a reward for it.
Lovely to see you, Dr. Lauren. Thanks so much for all your advice today.
No worries, lovely to be here.
Congratulations to all of our Facebook winners, and thank you for taking the time to ask your questions. I'm sure that Dr. Lauren's advice will help you. And me too. And if you still have a question you would like answered, just head to our Facebook page and Dr. Lauren will come back to you on there. And for more expert pet advice, just go to the VitaPet website.